Okay, so I have put the recording. So we will solve the one-dimensional heat conduction problems. For that, we will derive some of the formulas need to be used later. So first, I will show you the general equations. Then we will reduce them for the 1D steady heat conduction problem. Okay, so I think you can see the equations. In Cartesian coordinates, what we derived, the first equation, and in cylindrical coordinates and spherical coordinates, the equations are given. Okay, so for the steady state, first assumption, we will make a steady state. So what do you think? What will happen? You are assuming steady state. Tell me. Which term will disappear? Come on.
Dot by dot.
Yeah, the right hand side will disappear, right? For steady state, we don't have the term time derivative. Okay, this will be 0. That means, okay, on the right hand side, terms will disappear. So that's the steady state assumption. Okay, so steady state is not it's practical assumption, not a arbitrary or a idealization. It's a practical assumption, as because in heat transfer problems, when we have a heat input rate, okay, and constant heat out removal rate, then most the problem will be a steady state conduction problem. Okay, so one side of the, for example, if you consider a wall which is heated on one side using a some means of heat source. Okay, it can be solar sunlight, or you can by burning some fuel like furnace wall. So you have a constant heat coming to the wall, okay, constant rate at constant rate. And the other side of the wall, if there is a heat removal at a constant rate, okay, then the temperature distribution in the wall will remain same throughout, okay, the day, you can say, and that means it's independent of time. Okay, so heat transfer will become independent of time. So it's a practical thing. Okay, with that one assumption, we will eliminate that right hand side term. Now, second thing is without heat generation. Okay, the third another thing we can eliminate is without heat generation. So we remove heat generation term without. Oh. And the third thing is we are considering only one-dimensional heat transfer. Okay, so we are just considering one-dimensional heat transfer. It's a simplified case because if you consider a large wall separating hot and cold fluids, okay, then there is a hot region here and cold region other side. Then we have heat conduction in one direction. Okay, it will flow only in along the thickness of the wall. This assumption is valid most of the part of the wall. Okay, for a large wall, if you are considering, then it is valid for most part of the wall except near the edges. Edges means very close to the ends of the wall. There will be three-dimensional heat transfer there, but most part of the wall you can make that practical assumption that heat is conducting along the thickness of the wall. So we can make the one-dimensional heat transfer assumption. If you consider a cylindrical wall or a cylinder, most of the times when we have we transport the steam or any fluid, okay, we use pipes, right? So pipe wall will become a cylindrical wall. Okay, so the fluid temperature inside we can assume it will be at constant value, and there will be outside the convection from the pipe surface heat loss will be there. So this case, then the heat transfer is in radial direction. Okay, heat transfer is in the radial direction of the, but not along the axis of the pipe in the wall or in the theta direction or pi direction. So that is another way we can take up the 1D problem in cylindrical coordinates. Similarly, the spherical coordinates, most of the we have the storage vessels. Okay, so generally high pressure storage vessels for low the cryogenic temperatures. For example, for storing the nitrogen gas in liquid form or helium gas, we use spherical vessels. Okay, spherical vessels to store the gas in the liquid form because it's under high pressure. And this, you can see there is a transfer problem involved in that. So we have this. There is a spherical storage unit, and then there is a heat transfer in the radial direction also. So that means we can take up few problems, engineering problems, where we have one-dimensional heat transfer, and we can solve those problems. Now, if you make one-dimensional heat transfer in Cartesian coordinate, heat transfer can be along x direction, y direction, or z direction. That depends on which direction you take the thickness. Okay, thickness of the wall. Okay. That doesn't it's not always you have to take x only. Okay, but it is only one direction. Okay. So what do you think in this case? Like if you eliminate, okay, the temperature, time dependent of temperature is gone. So because of steady state, no heat generation. Okay, and we are going to remove the two more dimensions. Okay, so there will be heat transfer along only one dimension. Okay, so the temperature in the first case, Cartesian coordinates case, it is a just function of which coordinate? Temperature is function of
x coordinate.
Which coordinate? X coordinate.
X.
Okay. X. Yeah. And cylindrical it is function of radial r coordinate. In spherical also it's a function of r coordinate. So this is how we can obtain the Gauss equation now. And now you know that since temperature is function of only one variable, what does that means? The derivative should be partial or total?
The total derivative.
Total
derivative. Okay, so it will become total derivative. So we will reduce the Gauss equations to the one-dimensional problems. So for 1D conduction along x direction in direction of Cartesian coordinates, okay, we have the Gauss equation d square t by dx square equal to 0. So steady state without heat generation. So that's why we have this equation in Cartesian coordinate. In cylindrical coordinates, cylindrical polar coordinates, it is d by dr of r dt by dr. Okay. In case of spherical coordinates, it is 1 by r, d by dr into r square dt by dr. So compare there. Any changes here? So this term and this term. It's okay, right? So what is remaining here for the first one? D square t by dx square, that is there here. Next here we have 1 by r, but because on the right hand side we have 0. If you take that quantity to the right hand side, it will be 0. So that's what we have done here. So we have just d by dr of r dt by dr. And here 1 by r square is again eliminated because right hand side is 0. So we have d by dr of r square dt by dr. So these are the equations we are going to use to obtain the temperature distribution in different walls. Okay, Cartesian or the planar wall, Cartesian wall, we use it for planar wall.
So we change the partial derivatives into total derivatives because there is only one variable in each case, right?
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. So here t is function of x only. Okay, here t is function of r only, and here t is function of r only. So here cylindrical wall, we use this Gauss equation, and this is for spherical wall. Okay, so it's clear, right? Now, okay, we will. Any doubt? Any questions here? Yeah, quickly. If no questions. So, but you understand here that to solve these equations, we need number of boundary conditions. Okay, it's a steady state problem, so there is no need of initial condition anyway, but boundary conditions are required. So one-dimensional problem, and look at the equation and tell me how many boundary conditions are required to solve these equations. How many boundary conditions are required for this equation? First equation.
Sir, 2.
2. Okay. So you know how to determine the number of boundary conditions required. So it's a 1D problem, one-dimensional problem, but the Gauss equation is second order. Okay, depending on the order and dimension, we can determine the number of boundary conditions. Okay, simple formula: you multiply the dimensions. Okay, one-dimensional problem multiplied with second order equation. Okay, so that means we need 2 boundary conditions. If it is 2-dimensional second order equation, then how many boundary conditions? 4 boundary conditions, like that. So it's easily steady problems. Okay, for transient, again you have the initial condition, additional thing. Okay, so here also we have a second order Gauss equation. So again we need 2 boundary conditions, and here also we need 2 boundary conditions. Okay, so we'll take up the planar wall first, obtain the heat transfer and temperature distribution. Okay. Heat transfer rate and temperature. So this one we have to obtain for all the 3 type of walls. Okay, heat transfer rate Q and the temperature distribution or temperature profile. You can also write temperature profile. So first we will take up the planar wall. So we have already seen this in the derivation of Fourier law of heat conduction. Okay. So to obtain first rate of heat transfer, we use the Fourier law, and this is a repetition again. So you already know. So rate of heat transfer Q. So how do you calculate? Using Fourier law. Okay, apply. So we have a planar wall, okay, where its temperature on one side is T1 and temperature on the other side is T2. The material of the wall is assumed to be homogeneous isotropic. So K is okay, doesn't change in the direction, and also it is independent of the position and also temperature. So K is constant. So sometimes the K value will change with the position because of the material is not homogeneous. Okay, somewhere the material properties will change. So, but we assume this wall is homogeneous. Okay, so K is not changing based on the position, And also we are neglecting the effect of temperature on thermal conductivity. Anyway, that will be considered later. So K value of the property depends on temperature also. Okay, it slightly varies with temperature, but for time being, we are considering K is constant. Okay, so to estimate the heat transfer, we have the Fourier law, Q equal to minus Ka Tt by dx. Okay, so we have the area, which is we cannot see here, but if you make it 3D view, so area of heat transfer will be the perpendicular area here. Okay, this area to the. Okay, keep as it is, that one. So it doesn't depend on x value. So that's one good thing. In this case, if you have whatever area on the left hand side, same area on the right hand side. Okay, area will be same in the planar wall. So we write Q equal to minus Ka of dx. You can bring to the left hand side. Q Tx equal to minus Ka dt. Now integrate from x1 to x2. So you can integrate Q x1 to x2 dx minus Ka integrate from t1 to t2 dt. So you will get this equation. Okay, so you'll get Q into x2 minus x1 equal to minus Ka T2 minus T1. So you can take this minus sign inside and you can write T1 minus T2. Okay, so you can write this as Ka T1 minus T2, and you have the expression Q equal to Ka T1 minus T2 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, so this is the rate of heat transfer through the wall. So here you can see we have the temperature difference. This is positive and this is also positive. So heat transfer, because if in the figure you are I have shown T1 is greater than T2. Okay, so flow of heat in the positive x direction. So by making use of the electrical analogy, we can solve the problems very easily. So that's why I will introduce that now itself. So you know, if we have a circuit, okay, with a resistance in, and if you apply a voltage difference, okay, across that, and then we can measure the current through the circuit. Okay, this you have already studied. So we know I equal to the difference in voltage V1 minus V2 divided by the resistance, okay, or delta V over R. So this concept can be applied to this heat transfer also, and we can see from the formula here. So we can equate Q to the current I, okay, temperature difference to the voltage difference, and rest everything should be absorbed into resistance. So we can make the same assumption, an analogy of electrical circuit by putting a resistance for the wall. So we have temperature here T1, temperature here is T2, and this is the resistance to heat transfer. Okay, I'll write RK. So I'll tell you why I use that subscript K. Okay, so what is this RK now? That means I have to write this equation in the same form. Okay, I'll write this as Q equal to T1 minus T2 divided by RK. Now tell me what is RK? T1 minus T2 divided by, what is RK here?
x2 minus
X2 minus X1 divided by KA divided by KA. So it clearly tells you something. Okay, this is the resistance to the heat transfer. Okay, RK is nothing but conduction resistance. Okay, so why I use K? Because later we also have the surface resistance for the convection. Okay, so that will come, and for that I use RH, because so that way I can differentiate between conduction resistance and convection resistance very easily. Okay, so RK, because we use thermal conductivity to calculate RK resistance, and when you come across the convection resistance, we have the heat transfer coefficient H. Okay, in the Newton's law of cooling, we have Q equal to HA delta T. So that H will appear in the resistance. So here, thermal conductivity appear in the resistance. So that's why I use the RK value. And that is equal to, for the planar wall, it is X2 minus X1 over K. Now you can see that. What is X2 minus X1? What is X2 minus X1? Tells you. Come on, tell me what X2 minus X1 will tell you.
Thickness of wall.
Thickness of the wall. Okay, it's the thickness of the wall. Okay, so if you increase the thickness of the wall, then the resistance will increase. Okay, so then what about the area of heat transfer? If you increase the area of heat transfer, then what will happen?
So
Resistance decrease. Yes. So similarly, the conductance or the thermal conductivity of the material is more, means we have less resistance to the heat transfer. Okay, this will make sense right now. Okay, so easily now use by writing the circuit. Okay, we can write the rate of heat transfer through a wall. Only thing you have to remember is the formula for thermal resistance. Okay, conduction resistance. Now, second part is to obtain the temperature profile. Okay, so temperature profile. So to obtain temperature profile, what we do is we use the Gowan equation. What is the Gowan equation for the Cartesian coordinates? We are taking the thickness of the wall along x direction. So we can take the Gowan equation d square T by Tx squared equal to 0. To solve this one, we need the boundary conditions, and we have the boundary conditions here. When at x equal to x1, we have the temperature T equal to T1, and at x equal to x2, temperature is T2. So come on, solve the problem. We have to integrate. Okay, integrating twice, right? The second order equation, we have to integrate twice, and we will get it T equal to C1x plus C2. Okay, first integration, you will get dt by dx equal to some constant C1, and after if you integrate again, you will get a equation T of x equal to C1x plus C2. Applying boundary conditions, what are the boundary conditions? At x equal to x1, t equal to t1. Okay. So tell me, what do you get in this equation if you apply the boundary conditions? C1
x1 plus
x1
c2.
plus c2. Similarly, at x equal to x2, we have the temperature known, that is T2. So you can write this as C1 x2 plus C2. So two equations we have with the two unknowns C1 and C2. Solve for those and you can write the profile, temperature profile. Right? You can subtract these two equations, or T2 minus T1 if you write. T2 minus T1 equal to C1 into x2 minus x1, x2 minus x1. Okay, C2 will cancel. So we can write from this one C1 equal to T2 minus T1 over x2 minus x1. Now obtain C2. For that, you can multiply T1 with the x2. You will have C1 x1 x2 plus C2 x2. Yes. Any?
Abhi Madhvesh. Oh.
Yeah, please mute your mic before. Okay. Who is that? Okay. So T2 x1 equal to C1 x1 x2 plus C2 x1. Now you can subtract and you will have C2 equal to T1 x2 minus T2 x1 divided by x2 minus x1. Okay, so this way you can obtain C1 and C2 and you can substitute into the temperature profile and you have, okay, C1x plus C2. This is the temperature profile. So you don't have to write substitute and do that. Okay, but generally if you have given the values of temperature and the position of x1, x2, then substitute into this formula, obtain C1 and substitute into this equation, and this is nothing but a equation of line. Okay, equation of straight line. So I have shown this one already before itself in the figure, right? So the temperature profile is a straight line for a planar wall. Okay, T1, T of x equal to C1x plus C2. So it's a straight line profile, just joining these 2 points. Okay. So that is done. Now suppose you know, yeah.
There is no physical significance of that temperature profile, right? It's just a linear equation.
No, it's okay. In the sense, if you know the temperature profile, you can calculate heat transfer also. Why not? Right? Instead of giving you temperature on the boundaries, if I directly give you the temperature profile, a straight line. Okay.
Yes,
can you calculate the heat transfer?
Yes, sir. I was asking that because you have drawn the wall in the diagram, right? There is no physical significance in that diagram of that temperature profile, right? That slant line.
Okay, I have shown you axis here. You can see that the vertical axis is the temperature axis. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So
sir.
what the temperature? Okay, maybe you didn't notice this one. Okay, it's a temperature axis. So vertical axis is the temperature axis. So it's a actually overlapping of temperature profile and wall. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, we have the temperature profile, and just now what I wanted to tell you is, okay, suppose you know only the thickness of the wall is given. Instead of providing the x1 and x2 values. The thickness of the wall is only given. Okay. So what we can do is we can move this temperature axis to the left wall, and we can say that our x1 value will be 0. If you move the axis to this wall, then x1 will be 0, isn't it? And x2 will be
L.
what happened? Yeah, L. Okay. So if you move the y-axis to the wall here, now what will happen? Your C1 and C2. Your x1 is 0. T will be temperature will be T1 there as it is, and x2 will be L. Okay, just substitute into this equation, and you will have C1 equal to T2 minus T1 by L, and C2 is nothing but T1. You can check it. X2 will be L, x1 will be 0. So T1 L minus 0 divided by L. X2 minus L 0, that is L minus 0 L. So you will have T1. Now you can easily get write that profile T of X equal to C2 is nothing but T1. I'll write first, plus C1 is T2 minus T1 divided by L into X. Okay. So tell me the quantity in the bracket, whether it is positive or negative for the figure shown above. This quantity.
Negative.
Okay.
Negative.
Negative. T2 is less than T1, so it's negative. So you can see that slope of the line is negative. Okay. So it's clear. Okay. So we will move on to the next case, that is cylindrical wall. Again, I will tell you that this thing, if you know the temperature profile, you can obtain the heat transfer. Right? That means for steady state anyway, it is a straight line. But if it is heat transfer is non-steady, okay, unsteady heat transfer. So at particular time instant, you can obtain the profile, okay, for unsteady heat transfer for a particular instant. We can define, we can know the temperature profile by putting many thermocouples inside the wall, and we can measure the temperature distribution, and we can have a profile for the temperature. It may be a quadratic profile, or it can be an exponential profile, whatever. So you can write T of X, maybe say some constant A into e to the power minus X. Okay, or it can be some other function. Okay, a quadratic function. So if you have given this type of temperature profile, then you should be able to obtain the rate of heat transfer, because for the rate of heat transfer through the wall, what you need is dt by dx. Area is a value that is, if it is not specified, then you can say that rate of heat transfer per unit area. That means you are not considering, you don't know what is the area of the wall, but if the wall area is 1 meter per meter square, then that is the rate of heat transfer through that 1 meter square area. But using this temperature profile, what you can do is you can calculate dt by dx easily, and you can substitute into this formula and calculate the rate of heat transfer. So that's what you have to understand. Temperature profile is also important for us. So when the temperature profile is known, we can easily calculate the rate of heat transfer through the wall. Okay, so any doubt there? Anything you didn't understand here? Because this type of problems may be asked. Okay, That's why I'm telling you in advance. So the temperature profile for particular instant can be given. Anyway, for steady state, there's nothing we can do. It's a straight line profile. Okay, it's as if giving the wall temperatures is same as giving the profile there. Okay, there is nothing we can do. But for unsteady, the temperature profile can be complex. So for any particular time instant, we can say that the temperature distribution in the wall is like this. Tell me what is the heat transfer rate at the left side, at the middle of the wall, at the right side, by giving you particular location. We can ask those type of questions. Okay. Yes. So we'll move on to next, the cylindrical walls.
So,
Yeah.
what is A in that equation?
Which
The small a,
First
Tx
one.
is equal to A e to the power minus
yeah,
x.
it's a some constant. This can be 1 or it can be 100. No problem. Okay. It can be some 100 e to the power minus x. It's just a constant. It depends on the particular case. It can take any value. I have put it in a general way. Okay. But when we give the problem in a, for you to solve, we will give that value, particular value.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So cylindrical wall, as I told you, the best example is the pipe carrying hot fluid or carrying some refrigerant or anything which is not at the room temperature. The fluid flowing through the pipe is not at the room temperature, but it is whether it may be above the room temperature or below the room temperature, depending on the applications, right? So if you have you're considering a pipe for the refrigerator, the copper pipe behind where the refrigerant flows. So the fluid temperature will be less than atmospheric. So there will be transfer from outside to the inside. So we have to insulate that pipe. Similarly, you are carrying a hot fluid, maybe steamed from a boiler, then the fluid temperature is higher than the outside atmospheric temperature. So in order to prevent the loss of heat energy, again, we have to do the insulation. Okay, so consider a application like that. We have a cylindrical pipe and there is a hot fluid flowing through that and the outside temperature is T2. So what is the heat loss from the wall to the outside environment? So we have to estimate now the rate of heat transfer in the cylindrical wall. So for details, I'll show you another figure here. So here, again, the wall is made up of a homogeneous material. The same assumptions I will do. Okay, the thermal conductivity will not change in the radial direction or anywhere. With the temperature also, it will not change. It's a constant value that we are considering. So what is the rate of heat transfer through the wall? We have to find out. The temperature at inner surface is T1, at the outer surface is T2. Inner surface radius is R1 and outer surface radius is R2. Okay. So use the Fourier law. So tell me now Q equal to, for the radial direction, Q equal to minus same. Fourier law will not change, but the derivative is taken in the R direction. Okay, derivative is taken in the R direction. So in the planar wall, as I told you, the area of heat transfer is same. So that time I told clearly there. I'll go back again and tell you that again. So I have told you that the area on the left hand side of the wall where the heat enters here and area on the right hand side here where the heat leaves, they will be same. isn't it? Any change here? Come on, tell me. Area of heat transfer will change or not?
No, sir.
No, okay. So keep in mind, okay, for the planar wall, the area of heat transfer will remain same. But what about the cylindrical wall?
Sir, it increases.
Yeah, it increases. That is very important observation you should make now. Okay, so here area inside AI, but the area outside. Okay, here I can show maybe. So this is area outside. So area inside and area outside is different. Okay. So for particular radius, you can tell me the length of the cylinder is L. Okay, a particular radius R. So what will be the area of heat transfer? Okay, area perpendicular to R direction, you have to calculate and tell me. A equal to, yeah. Length of the cylinder is L, small l. What is the area?
2 pi RL.
2 pi RL. Good. Okay, area is now 2 pi R. So if it, for inner, AI is 2 pi RIL. For outer area, it's 2 pi R. Sorry, I use R1 there, not I. Okay, so I have used R2 for the outer radius, R2L. Change here. This is 1. Okay, not I. Okay, so that means we can substitute into this equation and integrate that equation to obtain the rate of heat transfer. Minus Ka is now 2 pi RL dt over dr. So same way, separate the variables, bring the R to the left hand side, Q dr by R. Okay, this R I bought and dr I bought from to the left hand side, and 2 pi K L. So minus sign is there. Then the other thing remaining is dt. Integrate from where to where? Along the thickness of the wall. Okay, R1 to R2 you have to integrate, and temperature changes from T1 to T2. So R1 to R2, temperature from T1 to T2. You can now integrate, and what do you get on the left hand side? Q into ln R. Apply the limits R1 to R2. On the right hand side, we have minus 2 pi KL T2 minus T1. Okay, apply the limits. You know, ln R2 minus ln R1, you can write it as Q ln R2 divided by R1. So law of integers, you know, this minus sign you can take inside the bracket and you can write it as 2 pi KL T1 minus T2. Okay, so write the things clearly. Now you can write Q equal to, what is that? 2 pi KL T1 minus T2 divided by ln R2 over R1. So this is the formula for single wall heat transfer, okay, in the cylindrical coordinates. Now you can write the resistance of heat conduction in the cylindrical wall as T1 minus T2 divided by RK, and that's RK is nothing but T1 minus T2 divided by ln R2 over R1 divided by 2 pi LK. So this is the resistance. Okay, the resistance for in the cylindrical coordinate we can write same way. We can write here. We have a resistance between these temperatures T1 and T2, and this is RK. So conduction resistance for cylindrical wall, cylindrical okay, RK equal to ln R2 divided by R1 divided by 2 pi Lk. Okay, so that's about the rate of heat transfer. Q can be found using this formula. So next, you need to find out the temperature profile. Okay, temperature profile. So for that, we go back to the Gowan equation. Tell me the Gowan equation. D by dr r into dt by dr. Very easily you can remember. Okay, it's not difficult. So later when it comes to spherical coordinates, you have to make it r square here. That's all. For cylindrical it is d by dr r dt by dr. Now integrating once. So you can write, tell me, what do you get? If you integrate once, R
dt by equal to
dt by dr. On the right hand side, some integration constant will come. Okay. Now you again integrate by, before that you take this R to the right hand side and you can write dt over tr equal to some constant C1 over R. Okay. So integrating again. You can write T function of R. Tell me what you get when you integrate this one. C1 into integration of 1 by R.
ln
ln R. Okay, good. ln R plus C2. Apply the boundary conditions. I will not write it again and again. Boundary conditions now is very clearly known to you. The temperature at R equal to R1. Okay. At R equal to R1, T equal to T1. So you write C1 ln R1 plus C2. Similarly, the other boundary condition R equal to R2, outer radius, temperature is T equal to T2. C1 ln R2 plus C2. Solve for C1 first and tell me what do you get.
T2 minus T1 by
T2 minus T1 divided by ln
R2 by R1.
R2 by R1. Good. So how do you get C2 now? Same way, okay, to eliminate this C1, we have to multiply by ln R2 for the first equation and ln R1 to the second equation can write T1 ln R1, sorry, R2. Okay, you have C1 ln R1 R2 ln R2 plus C2 ln R2. Okay, like this you can write, and you can subtract. So write T2 ln R1 C1 ln R1 R2 plus C2 ln R1. Okay. Yeah, now subtract, and you can write C2 equal to T1 ln R2 minus T2 ln R1 divided by ln R2 by R1. See, so only thing is, you can remember the pattern is same here, right? Earlier it was x2 where you multiplied by x2 and x1. Here you have to multiply by ln R2 ln R1. That's all. So from this one you can obtain C1 and C2, and you have the temperature profile T of R equal to C1 ln R plus C2. Okay, good. So we obtain the temperature profile, and you know this is not a straight line. Okay, non-linear, because it varies with the logarithmic. Okay, ln R. Okay, natural log of R. So it's a non-linear temperature profile. Interesting. You should see that. Okay. So in the cylindrical wall, the temperature distribution is not a straight line. You can see that it's a curve like this. So rate of heat transfer is high, or temperature gradient is high, not rate of heat transfer. So temperature gradient is high at the smaller radius, and it gradually decreases as you will go along the radius, radially outwards. Okay, the slope here is more. Temperature gradient means slope is more. The slope will decrease, and it will gradually decrease along the R direction. So just a question. You consider same thickness for a planar wall and a cylindrical wall, same material for the planar and cylindrical wall, okay, and maintain the same temperature difference across the wall. And if you calculate rate of heat transfer for a unit inner area of the cylindrical wall, so which one is more, for planar wall or the cylindrical wall? Right? The question, for the planar wall, you know what is the rate of heat transfer? Q equal to T1 minus T2 divided by the resistance to the heat transfer, that is X2 minus X1 divided by Ka. Okay. For the cylindrical wall, the heat transfer is given by this form. Now, if you maintain same temperature difference, T1 minus T2 is same for both cylindrical and planar wall. Thickness of the wall is same, that is X2 minus X1 is same as R2 minus R1. Okay. And you calculate now the rate of heat transfer and compare it. Just I am asking which will be more. Difficult? Yeah.
So can you repeat the question?
Sanyam, yeah, the material of the wall for cylindrical and planar is same. K is same, okay? Now thickness R2 minus R1 is same as X2 minus X1, okay? It's clear now? Temperature difference T1 and T2 also same. Inner surface temperature for the cylindrical, if it is 100 and outer is 50, then for the planar wall, left side temperature is 100, right side temperature is 50. So temperature difference is same, thickness is same, material is same. Okay. Now inner area per unit area of the cylinder, you take its 1 meter square and calculate the rate of heat transfer. For the planar wall, you calculate the rate of heat transfer per 1 meter square. Okay. So tell me which will be more, and out of these two quantities, for cylindrical it is more or for the planar?
So is it more for cylindrical?
Cylindrical. Okay. So what is the reason?
So because in the resistance for cylindrical, we have a factor of 2 pi in the, no. So because of,
Okay. So that is one, but you can easily understand that the area will increase, right? For the cylindrical case. And you know that area will go to the denominator in the resistance. So that means the resistance as you go radially outward will be decreasing. So that means more heat transfer will take place in case of cylindrical wall. And also you can, if you draw the temperature profile here, the straight line profile you can draw. And you know that, okay. So where the area is less, that is the inner surface area, is the least area, and the temperature gradient is I, right? So that gradient, if you just compare that for the planar and the cylindrical, you will know the answer. For the planar, anyway, the gradient will remain same. dt by dx will remain same. For the cylindrical, it is more than dt by dx. So that is the trick. There you will know exactly why the rate of heat transfer for the cylindrical wall is more. Okay. So if you are considering 1 meter square inner area, so that means area is gone. So only the parameter that decides the rate of heat transfer is dt by dr and dt by dx. Okay, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Ka dt by dx, and here it will be q ka dt by dr. Sorry, minus sign is there. Sorry, minus sign. So if we are taking same area, same thermal conductivity, so these things will go. So only dt by dr, sorry, dt by dx and dt by dr will decide. So dt by dx is this one, whereas dt by dr will be more than dt by dx. So we can clearly tell that heat transfer is more in case of cylindrical wall. Okay, now finally we will go to the spherical wall. So in spherical wall, okay, you can draw this in the notes very easily. So you draw a circle. It's difficult for me here, and that's why cut out some portion of the sphere like this, okay, and then show the inner wall. So this is R1, R2. So we have the rate of heat transfer in the radial direction. Temperature inside is T1 and temperature outside is T2. Again, the material is homogeneous and thermal conductivity remains constant. Assumption is made. So to calculate the rate of heat transfer, use the Fourier law. Okay, so similar to the cylindrical case, here also the area will change with the radius. So the area is here is AI, inner area, and the outer area is A out. So for particular radius R, you know how to write the area for a spherical wall. Okay, area A equal to, tell me, what is the area for spherical surface area?
4 pi r square.
4 pi r square. Okay, you're easily 4 times the area of circle. So inner area, then 4 pi r1 square, outer area 4 pi r2 square. So substitute into this formula, Q equal to minus K 4 pi r square dt by dr. Separate the variables and integrate. Q dr by r square equal to minus K 4. Okay, you can write this 4 pi K dt. Then integrate between R1 to R2. Temperature T1 to T2. Yeah, now tell me about the integration for this case. Tell me the integration. We can apply the limits later. First, you tell me the integration.
1 by r.
Minus?
Minus 1 by r.
1 by r. Okay. So R1 to R2. So those who did not get it, okay, you know this is a basic integration. So you can refer if you have some textbook, old textbooks, and see there how to integrate this function 1 by r square. Okay, so then minus 4 pi K. Here we have T2 minus T1. Okay, apply the limits for the right hand side and you can simplify. Q equal to 1 by, oh sorry. Let me write this first. 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. Is it okay? Because you may have minus sign here, so that's why I apply the lower limit first and then upper limit. Okay. So then we can write this minus sign inside and we can write this 4 pi K T1 minus T2. Right? Simply factorization, we can write R1 into R2 and this is R2 minus R1. So I can write Q into R1, sorry, R2 minus R1 divided by R1 R2 equal to 4 pi K T1 minus T2, and you can take out this, or you write better first. We'll write this as 4 pi K R1 R2 into T1 minus T2 divided by R2 minus R1. Now to write the thermal resistance, okay, thermal resistance. For a spherical wall, Rk, tell me, you have to write this quantity, your R2 minus R1 divided by 4 phi K R1 R2. Okay, so you can write this as T1 minus T2 divided by RK. So same way, the resistance is, we can write it as potential difference divided by resistance equal to current. So this is the thermal resistance for the spherical wall. Okay, you can write this as conduction resistance. I think conduction resistance. Okay. So similarly, we will have a convection resistance later for the different walls. Okay, so you know now I can draw the circuit here itself. I think this is R1. So between this we have a resistance to the transfer T1 to T2, and this is RK. So now the final part is to obtain the temperature profile. Excuse me. Hello. Yeah. ಯಾರು ಹೌದೌದು ಅದು ಆಯ್ತಾಯ್ತು ನಾನು ಕಾಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಸರಿ ಓಕೆ ಆಯ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಸೊ we can write the temperature profile. So for that we use the Gauss equation. D by dr. So I told you it's very easy to remember. For spherical you have to write here r squared dt by dr. The process again same. I think I can ask you to do this one, right? So you have to integrate. What do you get? R squared. First integration you will get r squared dt dr equal to constants C1. Okay, and you write again by moving r squared to the right hand side, you can write dt by dr equal to C1 by r squared. Okay, integrate again. Tell me what do you get?
T is equal to minus C1 by R plus C2.
Yeah, so we already know, just now we did integrating once again. You can write T as a function of r is minus C1 by R plus C2. Okay. Again now apply the boundary conditions. At R equal to R1, T equal to T1. So apply that, you can write C2 minus C1 by R1, and at R equal to R2, T2 equal to C2 minus C1 by R2. Okay, solve to obtain C1. So if you subtract T2, here I'll write T1 minus T2. Okay, T1 minus T2 equal to, can write, take C1 out, and you can write 1 by R2 minus 1 by R1, and simplify this one. C1, you can write this as R2, sorry, R1 minus R2. R1 minus R2 divided by R1 R2. And so write C1 equal to
T1 minus T2 R1 not by
Yeah.
R1.
so T1 minus T2 divided by R1 minus R2 divided by R1 R2. Yeah. Similarly, solve for C2. For that, okay, first you can write this one as multiply by T R1 now, so that you can eliminate your R1 and oh yeah. So R1 T1 equal to C2 R1 minus C1 and R2 T2 equal to C2 R2 minus C1. So here we can easily obtain C2 equal to T1 R1 minus T2 R2 divided by R1 minus R2. It's fine. R1 T1. Yes. Okay, so that is all you can write. Otherwise, you can write the opposite way also. T2 minus T1, you can write here R2 minus R1. So definitely C1 will be negative. Okay. So we can write the temperature profile based on these values, C1 and C2. We can write the temperature profile for a given spherical wall. C2 minus C1 by R. Again, this is not a linear profile, non-linear. Okay, temperature profile is non-linear. So this is how it looks. Okay. Now the question, if I repeat the similar one for the planar wall and spherical wall, definitely you know that the heat transfer from the spherical wall is more than planar wall, right? Because the same technique, if you apply, if you write, you know the temperature profile for the planar wall is a straight line, whereas the spherical wall is a non-linear profile, and you can see that the temperature gradient is more at the minimum area. Okay, minimum area temperature gradient is more. That means we have more heat transfer through the spherical wall. So that is very important. Okay, you have to understand, compared to the planar wall, heat transfer rate through the planar cylindrical and spherical wall is more. Now that means we have to compare other two one. What is that? We have to compare the spherical and cylindrical wall. And tell me, can you do that? Yeah, tell me.
So spherical will be more.
Okay, spherical wall will be more than cylindrical wall. Okay, so that is because in the cylindrical wall the area increases with R, whereas in spherical wall area increases with R square. Okay, so square of the radius. That is why we have the more heat transfer through the spherical wall. So I think now you should not have any doubts in this case, right? So even if you draw the velocity, temperature profiles using this already we have obtained this temperature profiles. So I have given the expression for C1 and C2 for all the three cases. So you can do this exercise. You take a radius R1, R2, and apply the temperature. Your choice. There's no this one condition there. So same thickness walls for three: planar, cylindrical, and spherical. Take same thermal conductivity, maintain same temperature difference, and calculate the rate of heat transfer. Okay, and you can clearly know that the rate of heat transfer through the spherical wall will be highest, then the cylindrical, then the planar wall. You can also plot the temperature profiles, and you can see that how the temperature profiles will look. Okay, so I'll show you. So you can see the temperature profiles here. So the blue line here is a planar straight line. Then the cylindrical, okay, the last one, the more curved one is the spherical wall. Okay, so this is temperature T. I applied temperature between 200 and 100, and the radius is taken here with the judiciously I have taken. So I have calculated the radius for unit area of the sphere for the inner surface. Understand? I have taken the inner surface area of the sphere as 1, and for that I have calculated the radius. Okay, so for maintaining the area same is easy for the planar and cylindrical wall, but not for the spherical, because spherical we cannot easily calculate 1 meter square area. So that's why I took the inner area of the sphere, spherical wall, equal to 1 meter square, and calculated the radius. So you can do that and find out what is the radius corresponding to 1 meter square inner area of the spherical wall. Okay, that means entire theta and phi. Theta 0 to 180 degree and phi from 0 to 360 degree. Okay, so for that you can calculate the radius and take same radius, inner radius, and give same some thickness to the wall, maintain some temperature across the wall, and you can do the calculations and okay, compare these results. It's very important. So just believing what I say is not enough. Okay, you do yourself, see for yourself. So temperature profiles should be drawn, and then you should compare the rate of heat transfer. Q also you calculate and compare. Okay, so that is, if you do that, I think if there is any MCQs on this chapter, this part of the, you can answer them very easily. Okay. So this is the thickness of the wall. So x1 equal to R1 and x2 equal to R2. Okay, so now with this one we can to derive two more very important quantities. One is called the log mean area. Log mean area. Another is geometric mean area. So this is a problem, can be asked, derivation problem. Okay. So what it says, log mean area is nothing but the area of the planar wall equivalent to a cylindrical wall. In a simple words, we can say that log mean area is the area of the cylindrical planar wall which is transferring equivalent heat of the cylindrical wall. So the question will be like this: show that the cylindrical wall from a point of view of heat transfer is equivalent to a planar wall of same thickness, same material, and same temperature drop, but with the area AM equal to A outer minus A inner divided by log of A outer divided by A inner. So this is nothing but log mean area. So my questions were on the same, okay, just so we have to find out the area of the planar wall which gives same heat transfer as the cylindrical wall. But the condition is the wall thickness is same, material is same, okay, and the temperature difference across the wall is same. Okay, so how to start?
So the wall thickness is also same.
Yes, wall thickness is same. Wall thickness in the sense, what is the thickness of planar wall? This is say x1, this is x2. So thickness we write x2 minus x1. For the this one, inner radius is r1, outer radius is r2. So thickness is r2 minus r1. So r2 minus r1 equal to x2 minus x1. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know now the formula for obtaining the rate of heat transfer for the cylindrical wall. Can you tell me? Q equal to
2 pi
Yeah.
LK
2 pi Lk into T1 minus
T1 minus T2 by ln R2 by R1.
yeah ln R2 divided by R1. Okay. Similarly, you can write the rate of heat transfer through the planar wall. Rate of heat transfer through the planar wall Q equal to we have Ka minus Ka, okay, T1 minus T2 divided by x2 minus, okay, I have taken the minus sign inside here, so it should be plus T1 minus T2 into divided by x1 minus x2 minus x1. Okay, so be careful. If I write T2 minus T1, then I have to write the negative sign. Okay, so now equivalent. So the question says clearly that okay, heat transfer is equivalent to planar wall. So heat transfer through the cylindrical wall is same as heat transfer through the planar wall. So you have to equate these two and find out the area of the wall. Okay. For equal heat transfer, okay, you can write Q through planar wall, planar equal to Q cylindrical. So I'll write K A, or I'll represent this as planar area, okay, into T1 minus T2 divided by x2 minus x1. I'll write it, became messy. T1 minus T2 divided by x2 minus x1 equal to 2 pi Lk T1 minus T2 divided by ln R2 by R1. So simplify and find out the area. So since temperature difference is same material, you can cancel the K values. Okay, K on the right hand side and left hand side we have. So we can remove this one with same temperature difference. Okay, T1 minus T2 here also T1 minus T2 will cancel out, and also what is there is thickness, same thickness. So what is that means? X2 minus X1 will be R2 minus R1. So I will write AP into here T1 minus T2 is there, here also there. So we can remove this. Okay, 1 by R2 minus R1. Is it okay? Any problem here? Tell me. Because X2 minus X1 equal to R2 minus R1. So I removed that. So now you solve for AP. That's the log mean area. You can see. So you can write area of the planar wall is nothing but 2 pi L R2 minus R1 divided by ln 2 pi R2 L divided by 2 pi R1 L. Is it okay? It's just a manipulation. Whatever I multiply to the numerator, I will multiply to the denominator. That's all. And what is this one? 2 pi L R2 minus R1?
A0 minus A1.
Yeah, 2 pi L R2 minus 2 pi L. Those who cannot make out, you can write like this. And this is ln 2 pi R2 L 2 pi R1 L. And this is nothing but area outside minus area inside of the cylinder divided by ln area outside and area inside. So this is the log mean area. So area log mean area is the area of the planar wall, okay, which transmits or through which rate of heat transfer is same as the cylindrical wall. Then you write that it's of cylindrical wall of same thickness, same material, maintained under same temperature difference. So question can be simply asked very in a short way, derive log mean area. So that means you have to remember, okay, this, and you can derive. It's not very complex thing. Just write the heat transfer rate, equate them, and simplify to obtain the. So similarly, now we can write another problem where equating the rate of heat transfer from a spherical wall and the planar wall. But this time we will get it. The area is geometric mean. Okay, the area is geometric mean. So it's called geometric mean area. Question is same terms, spherical wall from the point of view of heat transfer equivalent to a planar wall of same thickness, same material, same temperature difference, but with an area equal to geometric mean of inner and outer surface area of the spherical wall. Okay, so So you get the derivation is same, right? The rate of heat transfer through the spherical wall, planar wall, then equate them and simplify. This is much simpler. So you do it. Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me in the next class. So here we have Q equal to O5K R1 R2 into T1 minus T2 divided by R2 minus R1, and for this case we have same Ka T1 minus T2 X2 minus. So it simplifies much easily because here we have R2 minus R1 that is equal to X2 minus X1. So it will cancel out, K will cancel out, T1 minus T2 will cancel out. So we have easily, we can write this as, okay, area we can obtain for the case of these two, okay. Yeah, I hope you can complete it right before the next class, that is on Thursday. So any doubts in today's class?
Sir, could you please scroll up a bit?
You're writing which one? Still
Yeah,
up?
that's just, yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. Any questions? So you understood, right? So any doubts, anything is there? We have a contact hour class. So that is actually tomorrow. But we have not assigned any classroom for that. So you have labs on Wednesday, I guess, right? Wednesday you have a FEM lab. Is that true? Correct, right? Yes.
So different batches have different labs.
Yeah, but FEM is combined, right?
No,
FEM
sir.
lab?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So when is your lab? You don't know now.
One batch had today
Not
at
started, I guess. Right.
FEM
Okay.
lab.
Okay. You that lab is not started for you, I think. FEM lab.
No, sir. One batch had today online.
Oh, okay. Okay. So because if you have any doubts, I can come to the lab and clear your doubts until the classroom is assigned. Because now the exams are going on for the third semester students and all, MTech students also. So there is no classroom available. So maybe March 20th onwards, we will get the classroom for the doubt clearing session. So you tell me where should I come to clear your doubts? Because if it is lab, at least 50% of the students will be there, the lab. So after the lab, we can stay there and I can clear your doubts. Okay. So just tell me, who is the CR?
Vishwajit.
What is his name?
Vishwajit.
Vishwajit. Okay. Yeah. So he is there, right? Vishwajit is absent today.
Sir, he just replied in the chat.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you can convey me. Okay. You can tell through the CR that how we can arrange this contact our class. Okay. So because I think many of you may not be able to ask questions clearly here. So there it is face to face. You can clearly ask the questions. Okay. And come with your notes. When you ask questions, it should be from your notes, like whatever you have written from there, it should raise that questions. Okay. Yes. Any other questions? Anything? So if no questions, then I will end the class today. Okay. See you on
Thank you,
Thursday.
sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.